What's up, guys? I'm Joe. Today I'm talking about the new 3 Days Grace album, Outsider. So 3 Days Grace are back with Outsider. This is their second studio album with Matt Walst on vocals, the second since their split with Adam, and it's their sixth overall. I hadn't really followed the band since Adam left the group. I did listen to his album with the band Saint Asonia with the guitars from Stained quite a bit, which I did enjoy, but 3 Days Grace, on the other hand, they had that album Human. Just didn't really grab my attention, and I knew it was a new singer, so I wasn't really that interested in it. But I was interested to see where they would go with Outsider, especially once reviews started coming in, fans started reacting, and it seemed like the reaction was a lot more positive to this record than the previous one. And now going back to Human and kind of listening to it in the context of this one, I definitely do agree that Outsider is a huge step up, though I'm not totally sold on the album as a whole. I really wasn't feeling it at first when I first listened to it, but it has grown on me after a couple of listens. Overall, I feel like there are some really strong standouts on here, but then at the same time, there are just some very weak moments, if not moments that could have been more fully realized and could have been much better. And overall, I think the lyrics really distract from the music at times, but we'll get into that as we get into some of the tracks here. Right, Left, Wrong opens the album, which the song itself, I like the music, I like even some of the melodies going on. Matt is definitely a really solid singer. I think he does kind of channel Adam at times, sometimes sounding similar, but at other times almost kind of sounds like Chester Bennington, some kind of like cross between the two, which is pretty cool. He definitely is a strong vocalist, and I think he does fit well with the band. The problem on this song, though, is the lyrics for me. The whole hook of the song, the right, left, wrong thing, it's just, really strange. I'm not exactly totally sure what it even means. So while there are some decent riffs on here, a nice drive to the song, I really just can't get past the kind of annoying chorus with this one. Luckily, the band really steps up their game with the next track, The Mountain. One of the stronger tracks on the album for me, for sure. Has some nice riffs going on, a nice heavy drive to it. While I would say both of the first tracks go for this sort of anthemic feel, as do many of the other songs on here, I think The Mountain does a much better job. I think the lyrics are stronger, the lyrics are a little more inspirational, and kind of lend themselves to an anthemic feel. And I really do like Matt's performance on here, especially on the chorus. I think it's very catchy, and also the vocal delivery is very impressive. Some high soaring vocals on there to really just add to the intensity of the track. I don't listen to the radio too often, but I see this as being one that could be a huge rock radio staple. The next track, I Am an Outsider, kind of falls victim to that same lyric problem for me. I think the message of the song is cool, but the, I don't care about the in-crowd thing is kind of weird. I just feel like there's just weird choices in the lyrics, like the messages make sense and they seem like they're appealing to like a teenage demographic, which is not really necessarily anything wrong with that, but I think you could do that without going with the kind of plain lingo, I guess. The same kind of thing happens later in the album with the new Reel. I like the message of it. I like the, idea that, what you're seeing online, the social media, stuff like that, is for the most part fake. And people kind of aspire to be what they see online, even though that their lives are probably just fabricated. Good message. I think it just could have been done in a better manner. Referring to someone taking a trip last year, driving a Maserati. I just feel like you could have portrayed this in a better way. And the verses on here, the way the vocals are coming in are just really, really poppy. So while this song has more of a drive to it than some of the others, a little bit faster tempoed, it just feels very poppy to me. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing to have a poppy kind of chorus, or something like that, just in the terms of this song doesn't really work well for me. There are some other standouts in addition to The Mountain. Infra-Red is probably my favorite song on here. They have some of that, older aggression that the band used to have. In some of the other tracks on here, it feels kind of forced, or it feels like it's not fully realized. But this song, it just, hits you hard, has a strong beat to it, nice riffs going on here, and an absolutely killer hook on the chorus there. A much better example of going for a catchier hook and just delivering it much more effectively. The closing track, The Abyss, is another standout for me. It kind of came out of left field, I felt. It's a song that doesn't really follow the kind of verse-chorus structure that most of these do. There are some very heavy moments in this song which lend themselves to, The Abyss as a title for it. Just a very effective way to close the album. You kind of end on this epic grand note. I would like to see the band in the future kind of abandon the more aiming towards rock radio type stuff. I feel like when they try really hard, it doesn't work as well as some of the other tracks. You know, where they're really trying to go for this radio rock anthem with I Am an Outsider. They achieve it better with Infra-Red. The Abyss is definitely the most intense moment on here. It shows that the band still has a lot to offer. It shows that Matt can find a kind of unique place in the band. I would love to see them go down this road a little more on the heavier side, while still providing those catchy hooks. The middle of the album has these two songs, Me Against You and Love Me or Leave Me. And I kind of feel like both of these songs suffer from the exact same problem, and it's sort of like unrealized potential, I guess. I feel like both feel like they're just building the whole time, but they inevitably don't go anywhere. Me Against You has some good riffs on it, it's kind of catchy, but it just keeps that boom, 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 boom the whole time. And every time I listen to it, by the time I get to the second chorus of the song, I just get this weird feeling that it's been going on for so long, even though it's only like a minute or two in at that point. And I think it's just because of that plodding bass going on. Even when some of the other drums come in, it's more like down in the mix or electric drums, stuff like that. It just takes away from any energy that could easily be going on in the song. I could see this being a very energetic song, and it just ends up not being that. Same thing with Love Me or Leave Me. I actually think it's a pretty good ballad at its core. And I would love for, after that second chorus and after the bridge, for it to just kind of explode. And I thought that's where they were going, and I was very disappointed when they just ended up going back into the same pre-chorus, you know, keeping things down still. There's just like a lot of, like I said, unrealized potential in that song. I feel like it could have been a great song. You know, now it's more so just a good song. I do like it. I wouldn't really skip that one. But it could have been a lot more, in my opinion. The song Villain I'm Not kind of does what Love Me or Leave Me didn't really do, which is kind of build up in intensity. They throw in some pretty cool riffs after the first chorus. And this one just has a really good hook on it as well. Again, Matt showing off that he is a very strong vocalist, and in my opinion fits pretty well in this band. I could see this one being a big single as well. And finally, I'll talk about the song Strange Days. I think this is one of those where it's kind of experimental for them, but it actually sort of pays off. It's kind of bouncy, which makes it sort of catchy. I really like the verses, the very prominent bass, the way Matt's vocals kind of dance along on top of this groove, and the fuzzy kind of garagey guitars, just something a little different. And then the song ends on a really strong note as well, with the riffs and the drums really coming in. So yeah, overall, I'd say Outsider is definitely a big improvement for the band over Human. I like the directions they're going into. I would love to see them go more down the heavier route. Like I said, there are songs like Infra-Red, The Abyss, The Mountain, stuff like that, which I think are really strong songs. They manage to have a heaviness to them, while at the same time delivering these great catchy hooks. But as I said, a lot of the moments on this album are not, you know, fully realized or otherwise kind of lackluster in their execution. Some of these songs that are going for that sort of anthemic feel, trying to connect with a youthful audience, which is fine, but I just find the lyric delivery on a couple of these songs to be pretty distracting, and they take away from the overall track. So I'm feeling like a 3 out of 5 for this one. Let me know what you think of the album in the comments, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, and as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.